Well, hello and welcome to another video by Financial Earning. On today's video, we're going to go over a new PR that Mullen Automotive just put out. This is a letter to the shareholders by CEO David Mishry. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Just wanted to let you all know I'll be adding a little bit of my own thoughts throughout this video, including a little bit of speculation based off of some of Mullen's announcements. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the PR headline. So Mullen CEO shares milestones with committed capital of $250 million. Highlights include 2 state incentive approvals for Class 3 EV, sales and tech advancement, dealer network expansion. So there is a lot of information. Some of it is old information, some of it is new and relevant information that I'd like to kind of break down a little bit further. So let's go ahead and continue on. So you can see this came out on June 20th, 2024, and I'm going to go ahead and read some of these boxed areas in green, and if you'd like to pause and read through the rest, definitely feel free to do so, or you can go on Mullen Automotive's website and go to their PR, which is going to be in their newsroom section. You can read through the full PR yourself. But jumping into these boxes, we are also actively pursuing M&A, which is merger and acquisition, discussions with other EV companies, and that is plural. The next section talks about that $250 million in committed capital. It is subject to certain conditions. If you read through some of the security purchase agreement verbiage, as well as some of the promissory note verbiage, you're going to find out what some of those contingencies are. Some of them has to do with the overall volume of the Mullen stock. And there's a few other contingencies as well, but these investors have reviewed Mullen's portfolio, reviewed Mullen's plans for the upcoming year or two, and they have committed to $250 million. So jumping down a little bit further, you're going to see that there is mention at both about the $15,000 incentive through the state of Massachusetts using their MOR EV program, as well as that $45,000 HVIP program there in California. So those 2 states have some pretty hefty vouchers, some pretty hefty incentive programs for those Mullen Class 3 trucks. We'll talk a little bit about the Mullen Class 1 van and additional incentives I found on a upcoming slide. Continuing on, you'll see Mullen does talk a little bit about Bollinger Motors, some of the new announcements from them. They have this $13.2 million estimated sales order to this Momentum group, as well as if you jump down, there's the $8.2 million deal as well. That was announced back in May for 50 of these B4 trucks. Then Mullen did mention some of their European sales. They have an initial PO for $440,000, and this is for 40 of their Mullen Goes. They also announced some sales, some initial purchase orders for a larger company called Gamma in the Balkan region there in Europe. So there's going to be some significant European activities, and there's going to be some additional information in these slides to come in terms of that. One other thing I went ahead and added, I went back to Mullen's latest 10Q. I reviewed their latest G&A and research and development. I took out some of the other operating expenses as those are one-offs. Those have to do with adjustments in valuation for both Bollinger as well as for some of those Elms assets and facility there. But just looking at their cost of operations, I took the 1 quarter and kind of extrapolated for a full year. It's about $287 million, $287.7 million, compared against that $250 million committed capital. We do know that Mullen is putting out quite a few POs and announcing some significant amount of sales. So I have no doubt that they'll be able to bridge the gap there. And with some of this other information that's coming online, finding out about a little bit of this merger and acquisitions, it looks like Mullen is in a pretty good position for a full year of operational cash. So let's go ahead and continue on. All right, this slide has a little bit of my own thoughts, a little bit of speculation here, and I'll go ahead and preface this with this is not financial advice. This is just some research, just trying to connect a couple dots here, a little bit of the gray area that we received today with this PR from Mullen. So in the headline of the PR, Mullen does state this: company in current talks to acquire EV OEMs, again that's plural, to expand product portfolio for commercial and passenger EVs. And then the next line, this is where I have some of the speculation here. So it says Mullen to obtain over-the-air vehicle technology powered by AI along with other related IP assets as part of a successful acquisition. So I went ahead and just did a quick Google search of what EV manufacturers currently use the over-the-air technology, and it gave me a full table down below. And then I just kind of looked through some of these automakers, understanding different sizes for the companies and what they have offered, and I came across Polestar. I am not sure if this is the company that Mullen Automotive, that David Mishry is talking about, but looking over what they do have for an offering, they do have this over-the-air technology. It's rather new. They just put this out within the last year or two. And just looking at their market cap, their valuation, this could potentially be what they are referring to in terms of either a merger or an acquisition. So just kind of want to put that out there. I don't know if this is accurate. This is, again, just highly speculative, but just wanted to share my thoughts on this. All right, jumping down to the section involving battery tech. Again, let's just go over some of these green boxes. They talk a little bit about the company has identified lead suppliers for development and components and issued initial purchase orders to support the pivotal program. And this has to do with their solid state battery packs. So we do know that they did some testing that had some successful results, and it looks like they are moving forward, trying to line up the suppliers and the components. And they gave us a little bit of additional forward-looking statement that they plan to have these solid state polymer packs fully certified for production and sale in the second half of 2025 in their Class 1 EV cargo vans. So now we have an idea of when to expect these batteries to be able to get integrated in and sold to consumers, to commercial companies. The next section has to do with this new Power Boost battery exchange program. I thought this was rather interesting as well. So Mullen does have around 500 or so vehicles in their inventory. They have the original battery packs. What Mullen is announcing here is that they're going to introduce a Power Boost battery exchange program. This is going to let customers go ahead and make the purchase for these vehicles, go ahead and lock in some of these vouchers and incentives, and then at a later date, Mullen's going to be able to offer them an exchange program. They can probably purchase at a delta price some of this solid state battery tech to be integrated into their vehicles, or they have this other opportunity. I'll go ahead and read a little bit further down. They talk about purchasing some additional manufacturing equipment and assets and technology from a leading battery technology provider. This is going to help them with some of that low voltage and high voltage LP or LFPs. And I just want to point out that Mullen does have an active grant application that's being reviewed now by the Department of Energy. So if they end up getting that, that's going to help them purchase some of this equipment that they're discussing. The other type of battery technology I'm talking about is this prototype of sodium-ion batteries to install in their commercial vehicles. So potentially the other battery swap opportunity could be this sodium-ion batteries. And again, they're planning on having these packs completed by Q2 of 2025 with some additional testing and validation at a later date. So this would be a little bit more of a long-term swap out for battery packs. So we're looking at this solid state in 2025 and then potentially swapping out using these sodium-ion batteries at a later time in either 2025 or potentially 2026. But the benefit of this sodium-ion battery is it reduces the company's dependency on foreign-made components. So that is something that's very critical for Mullen Automotive. They want to get to that 50% or more of American-made product. That does help them with different opportunities, potentially for some funding for government and things of that nature. So anytime that they can get additional domestic components put in, that saves them on tariffs, other import fees, as well as it does help align them with what the U.S. is trying to do in terms of their manufacturing. And the last thing I want to talk about is going to be this new PowerUp mobile DC fast charging truck. So we know that PowerUp has been around for a little bit. The initial PowerUp configuration involved using some combustion to help generate that power for charging the vehicles. Now Mullen has announced a potential just large battery storage system and setup that can then provide power and charge for different EVs. So the benefit for that is you can put this indoors, you can put it in garages, campuses, and different residential areas. You don't have to worry about the fumes or exhaust from actually burning fuels in order to generate that electricity. So just another opportunity here for Mullen Automotive. All right, jumping into their Class 1 and Class 3 vehicles, they give us a couple of updates as well. I thought this was actually a pretty good amount of information. This is new to all of us. They talk about some of their pipeline for fleet customers. They have Yale University, Princeton University, UCLA. So 3 different colleges that are interested in their commercial vehicles, potentially some of those campus vehicles. The benefit with these specific universities is a lot of them have their fiscal year starting sometime over the summer. So there's going to be a new budget for these universities to make these types of purchases. So this could come up rather short term for Mullen Automotive. And then there's also Enterprise Fleet Services, DB Schnecker, I forgot how to say that, but it's all right. And then also Mobile Road Solutions, which is a AAA provider. And then they talk a little bit about some of the international activities they have going on. So they do have some significant pilot programs going on both for Europe and Canada. They have vehicles already deployed in Europe, and they're planning on deploying some vehicles in Canada. They have already identified a key partner for a major telecom company there in Canada. So that could definitely help boost Mullen's sales in the months and year to come. Last thing I wanted to point out before I talk about that section at the bottom there is going to be the foreign trade zone, logistics, and supply chain management update. I'm not really going to go into too many details on the foreign trade zone as this information was shared previously. It's definitely a great thing Mullen has going for them in terms of being able to avoid some of the tariffs and some of the import fees when selling internationally, and that also helps them defer that cost if selling domestically. They don't have to actually incur those charges until the vehicles are at that point of sale. But the one other thing I thought was interesting is Mullen talked a little bit about some of their supply chain cost challenges, and they're engaging with some new global logistics suppliers. So they're trying to, again, be strategic about spending that money in that freight, especially when they're starting to look at international sales. They have to be very important on how these vehicles are going to get shipped out to try to cut down on those costs. And then the last thing I want to show, this has to do with that MOREV program. Actually, the Mullen 1, that EV cargo van, is listed on the Eco Auto website for a discount as well. So between the federal incentive for that $7,500 and the MOREV also has a $3,500 incentive for the Class 1 van, you can actually purchase one of these vans in the state of Massachusetts for $23,500. So that's a pretty good deal for that Mullen Class 1 vehicle. And we're going to go to this next slide, and we're going to talk about some of these big players that Mullen Automotive is currently looking at potential pipeline customers with, and just exactly how they're staged across the world and across the US. So the 2 large customers I want to talk about, the first is going to be Enterprise Fleet Management. You can see across the US they have multiple locations, multiple branches to provide responsive fleet vehicles for different consumers or different commercial companies. Again, these are commercial vehicles that can be rented out. You can see they have a few locations in the state of California, as well as across the entire US. Some of the locations do line up with some of these dealers that Mullen now has in their dealer network. So it does look like a rather large company that Mullen could potentially have a significant amount of sales in the months to come if they're able to land a deal with this specific customer. And then also I want to talk about this DB Schnecker. Hopefully that was a little bit better pronounced. I want to show also globally how many different areas they actually support. So this was actually surprising looking at how far across they are. This is a logistics company, so looking at both that commercial Class 1 van and the commercial Class 3 truck, definitely could be a large player, and you can see internationally they have quite a few locations. So again, Mullen can use that FTZ and can get vehicles sent over, shipped to Europe or other continents to be able to really start to saturate the European and the international market. And they're able to do that at a reduced cost now because they can waive some of those tariffs and other import fees. And then looking domestically in the US, you can see 4 locations there in California. So if you think about that class 3 HVIP program, those vouchers are looking pretty enticing for that company if they were to choose to partner with Mullen. And then also down over there near Connecticut location, this is actually in the state of Massachusetts. That is another location they have. So again, they potentially could be getting these vehicles at a discount using that MOREV program. So just wanted to bring that up to your attention. I do think that these 2 companies could play a large role in Mullen's future and help them kind of generate the type of sales they're going to need to sustain the cost of operations. All right, folks, and that's it for me. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving a like. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the content shared. Let me know thoughts for future videos that you'd like to see. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a paid representative for Mullen Automotive. I am merely an investor who has a bullish sentiment and outlook for the company. I hope you all have a great rest of your days, and I'll see you on the next one.